Hi, Mr. Wonderful. I had a fantastic catering business and a small restaurant operation. 70% of our business was to corporate. We would make those lunches that they'd pick up. And we did a fantastic business doing that. We knew our customers wanted lunch every day, buffet style, and then all these offices closed. What do? I've lost 70% of my business. All right, so here's the story. She applied for PPP through her bank and didn't get it, but her payroll company came through and she got the PPP. And so there's really two questions there. First of all, there's interesting information. If you are a small business, and this is a small restaurant with catering, now obviously if 70% of your business is to corporations for lunch basically, because no one's going to cater for nighttime, or not much. So she was making big lunches in the boardroom style, you know, those big aluminum things, and people go and scoop lasagna or spaghetti or whatever it was in a salad. Okay, so that's one issue we're going to deal with in a second. But what I want to say about the PPP, a lot of people are talking about, well, my bank isn't giving it to me, I didn't get through, I got cut off. There's nothing in the PPP rule, the Payroll Protection Program, if you have a small business, that says you can only apply to one bank. What she did, she went to multiple banks, or in her case, the payroll company. Now, many different financial institutions, including payroll companies, can provide these loans. And in this case, so she was smart. She went not only to her bank, but her payroll company, and they came through first. You're only going to get one loan. It's not that I'm suggesting fraud here. I'm just saying you can apply at many different financial institutions in your region, and maybe one of them will get it for you, which she got. Now let's address the catering business. The bottom line is nobody's ever going to want to see a big vat of lasagna that people are putting spoons into and taking. That's all done because of health reasons. People are worried about the spread of the virus, obviously. So the new catering business, which is going to emerge as businesses open up, they're still going to want to eat lunch, is going to be individual portions in small plastic containers. And here's how you have to reboot your business if you're in the catering space. And I'm now speaking to every caterer, okay? I want to see on your website how clean your operations are, how cleanliness is now the #1 issue for you. I want to see it scrubbed down. I want you to talk about how when you prepare food, the hairnets are on, the full, whites or whatever it is you have, and how you're wearing gloves and how you're wearing a mask. You're going to have to do this. That's the new 2.0. People have to feel confident, and it can't be bullshit. You actually have to do this. You've got to be super clean. Now, in preparing, because I just went through this with another in my portfolio of companies, how this has to work. You're going to offer 4 different basic lunches. Chicken, #1. Beef, #2. A full vegan offering, a vegan lasagna is a good one, all right? The point is it's all standard. You got to throw a fish in too, so you're going to have a salmon or miso cod's very popular too. So think about it. Your proteins are going to be beef, they're going to be chicken, they're going to be a lasagna perhaps that's just vegan, and you're going to have a fish. You can choose, like basically, soya, salmon or miso cod are the 2 that are really popular for those lunches, so pick one. The reason you're only going to do 4 is you need to have standardized purchasing of your protein. So let's say you're now going to provide catering. Some companies are moving back up, so they're going to order lunch, but the images of your menu are all the individual containers, because that's how people are going to get them. The salad is an individual container. The dressing's in a packet. The knife and fork are already sealed in a plastic package with a napkin. These already existed before coronavirus, all right? But the point is there is no big vat of food anymore. You're not going to sell that to anybody. You're going to have to get used to making individual portions. So you basically let people on your website, or even if you're going to provide a checkoff menu, choose one of those proteins. The salad is standard. It's the same. It's a mixed green salad. Everybody gets the same thing. That lets you prepare the same. You've got to simplify this thing, all right? And the pricing is going to be slightly higher because that's going to be your costs. They're going to be now individualized. But everybody feels comfortable if they're opening up their own lunch and it's just basically their own unique package. And the last time, because you can put a little sticky seal on it, that you put the brand name of your company on, that you prepared it and you sealed it and it's super clean. That's the only way this is going to work. So when you've got 20 people in a boardroom, or it's maybe virtual, they're going into the boardroom to get it and go back to their area of work, which is more likely going to happen. It's all individualized. This is starting to come back now. There are some companies that are putting up to 5, 6 people at work. Even in New York City, that's happening. Everybody's wearing a mask, but they need lunch. and they want to get it from somebody they know is preparing it cleanly, in a very clean way. But it's all individual packaging. So that's how that's going to work. Now, I want to talk about a third issue too. And I'm going to use myself as an example. I was going out of my mind sitting here. The first month I was going crazy, and I've got so many investments that are suffering and struggling, and I thought, what can I do to help them? You know, I worked in getting PPP loans. I actually helicoptered money into some places where I needed to invest to keep them alive and keep them open, because it was important for them to do that. I'm going to give you a couple examples. You know that career you had 20 years ago, 30 years ago? I was a construction worker for a while. I put rebar into cinder blocks. I was a bricklayer for a while. These were summer jobs I had trying to put myself through school and college. I got a job once as a gaffer for a company that did sports television. They were filming volleyball games and college football games and stuff like that. And I was slinging beer at nights to put myself through college. And then I took the job as a gaffer. A gaffer's kind of person who runs around, sets up the lights, tapes down the cables and all that stuff. But from that business, I eventually got trained how to be a cameraman, then a sound man, then a film editor. I never lost those skills. I still have them. And many of you are in the same situation. You have things you did a long time ago. They don't leave you. It's like riding a bicycle. You remember them forever. So I said, okay, well, maybe I can help my companies as a social media guy. I mean, a lot of people know who I am, so maybe I can record my own commercials right here in this kitchen and help some of my companies, because I know how to edit, I know how to record, I know how to do stuff from those days 20, 30 years ago when I was doing that, and I never lost my editing skills. So I just got my chops. Instead of editing on an 8-plate Steenbeck, which was film, like literally film, I learned how to use Premiere Pro, an Adobe product. It's the same basic idea, it's digital, right? Go back to your roots and find something that you can do that you learned a long time ago. Maybe your career's stalled, maybe you're not going to get hired, maybe you want to work. Would I work as a bricklayer? Yeah, I know how to do that, but I can make these commercials. So every day I get up in the morning, I say to my companies, what can I do for you?
And there's a great quote, I forget who it's by, but it doesn't matter what you look at, it matters what you see. And if you look at this legitimately, like in 2009, when we started founding Quest, this was at the height of the Great Recession. And it wasn't even like a part of the conversation about whether we could launch a company at that time. It was a question of, is there a need that we can fill with this product? Can we add value to people's lives? Are we passionate? Are we interested? And then, of course, it ends up being huge. But it was like, if people could have been there for the conversation and seen what we were looking for, which is, oh, what could we do that would really add value to people? What do we care about? What are we interested in? Like, yo, let's do this. Like, this will be fun. This will be exciting. And if you ask yourself a fundamentally different question I highly encourage everyone to ask is, what would I love failing at? And if you do that, dude, then it all becomes fun. I can't guarantee that you're going to win, right? So I always tell people, the success is not guaranteed. The struggle is. Okay, well, if the struggle is the thing that's guaranteed, what would you love going to bat for every day? But the problem is, like you said, people are just listing off all the reasons why it's not going to work, why they're backed into a corner, all of that. And I cannot say enough. People are going to win in this time. Ramit, people are going to win. There are going to be people that come out of this with fucking huge companies. Somebody laid out the number of tech companies that we think of today as being the behemoths. Uber, they listed 6 or 7, Zoom, that all came out during the Great Recession. And now they are fucking dominant forces. Yeah. But when they came out, it was like, what are you doing? This is the worst time to start a business.
Yeah, my book came out March 2009, and that was the absolute worst point of the Great Recession. And I love what you said about the conversations you were having. Let me tell you the conversations I had. So I had a book on money and investing. I Will Teach You to Be Rich. The first edition came out. I went on tour to all these cities. All these local news producers would come into the green room before I went on air, and they'd say, what are you planning to talk about? And I would say, well, I'm going to talk about how to negotiate your salary, how to invest for the long term, and on and on and on. And they looked at me like I was a Martian. They're like, are you aware there's 10% unemployment? And I said, yeah, I get that. I know what's going on. If you want me to give you a couple of savings tips, I'll give you those. But are you also aware that there are literally tens of millions of people in this country who want to invest in themselves, who understand that although this is a huge issue, this is temporary and that we will go back to growth. And they just looked at me like I was crazy. Luckily, I don't have a boss. I'm my own boss. So I went out on air, I said what I wanted to say. And this is where, as an entrepreneur, you have to have some conviction. You also have to borderline ignore lots of people who will tell you you're crazy, because it's easy for people to give you drive-by advice. Look, they're just driving by. Oh, the economy sucks. Oh, that'll never work. And they're basically saying, screw you. You should give up. And you know what? It's easy to identify the drive-by advisors. Much harder to identify your own mind playing tricks on you. When you start to say things like, this will never work because, or who would ever buy this right now, you are doing the same thing those drive-by advisors are doing. You're just driving by your own head. You're saying, that'll never work. So my advice to you on that is, don't try to deny it. Your mind will always play from a position of safety, not excellence. And so acknowledge it, write it down and say, okay, this will never work. This is horrible. I suck. I'm not good. Write it down. But then open up another piece of paper and say, okay, I wrote down all the reasons that this might fail. Now let me write down all the reasons that this might succeed. And then take those two pieces of paper and look, and you choose which one you want to follow.